We are tracking storms through Chicago right now. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning for Chicago. Let me know if you can hear me out there. We may have some mic issues, but I think that we're all okay. So let's get into this severe thunderstorm warning in Chicago right now. We have had a few hail reports out there, local storm reports highlighted there in this greenish yellow color. Those little circles on there are our local storm reports. So let's jump down into Chicago. Hey, we have had some more impressive storms. Ooh, too far in. Alrighty. Let's back up a little bit. My computer is acting a little funky right here. Okay. So out in the far western side of Chicago, we have a few local storm reports. Let's see what those are. $50 size hail has been reported in Elmhurst. That was related via IMPING. So that was in the Elmhurst, DuPage area. Villa Park, public report of quarter-size hail in Villa Park as well. We've also seen some strong wind with this storm that's moving through Chicago at the moment. Train Spotter has reported traffic lights down near Finley Road and Eisenhower Lane in Lombard. So that was right around 7:30, about 25 minutes ago. This severe thunderstorm warning that's moving through Chicago right now is warned until 8:45, so we've got another 50 minutes on this. This does include Chicago, Joliet, Thornton, and Worth, and it's right now warned for 1-inch size hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. However, if you go farther down to the south, you're going to see a stronger storm. So this is just outside of Joliet. So we're talking about Elwood, Braceville, Dwight, and Kankakee. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I'm sure I'm not. We're going to see some larger hailstones in this area, 2-inch size hail and 70-mile-per-hour wind speeds. About 250,000 people impacted by this storm. So I have told you about those storms in Chicago. We'll get to some of those other states across the U.S. that are getting storms right now as well, but it's really Illinois. That's the big story right now. Let me know if you have any questions in the chat. I can see the chat over here on the side of the screen, and we do have quite a few questions. Very nice. We've got questions about the Chicago suburbs. Yeah, Joliet, that is going to be the biggest suburb that's getting hit right now. Aurora, Illinois. It's another one that we'll be talking about here that is included in a severe thunderstorm warning right now. So let's go back over our Chicago severe thunderstorm warning. Give me just a minute and we'll go back over that, and then we'll talk about some of the other warnings that we have across the state of Illinois right now, because we have a tornado warning farther down to the south. Okay, it looks like coming into Champaign right now, we have a confirmed tornado. So we'll talk about this, and then we'll talk about some of these other local storm reports and some of the other really large hail that we've seen across Illinois this evening. Did you know up in Wisconsin earlier this evening, we got reports of 4-inch size hailstones? Holy moly. That's like the size of a softball, if not even larger than the size of a softball. Now let's see if we can do it in Illinois. I think what we've seen so far, the largest hailstone in Illinois, I think is right around 2 inches in size. So there's Chicago. We have seen $50 size hail reported here. We are still watching these storms moving through Chicago proper right now. Brand new local storm report, $50 size hail in the northern side of Chicago. So we're talking about the Chicago suburbs technically right now. So this is Franklin Park in Cook County. Trained Spotter reports up to $50 size hail near Franklin Park. So we have our meteorologist mapping this right now. We actually have our lead mapping meteorologist on this storm right now. He is mapping the storm as we speak. So this is something that is accessible to you at hailtrace.com right now. Now, I told you we would go back through the Chicago storm, and then we would widen our view and we would go down to the south and we'd talk about the rest of Illinois. And we have the rest of Illinois right now, or portions of Illinois, excuse me, on the map right now. So that's what you're looking at right here. This severe thunderstorm warning is significant, a significant severe thunderstorm warning. So you have your baseline, and then you have one step above, significant 2-inch size hail and 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Some very strong wind in this area, not just that hail threat, but also that wind threat. A great question here, is Michigan in for the same thing? That's a great question because we are seeing those storms approach Michigan, right? They're making their way there. Give it a few hours. What I think is going to happen here is that this will transition into mainly a wind threat. Could you see those larger hailstones? It's possible. Do I think that this is the best time to see large hail? Yes. As we go into Indiana, as we go into Michigan, I think those hail sizes are going to go down and the wind threat is going to go up. Now, something that we have seen tonight that actually has surprised me a little bit is that high wind threat. I did not think it would be this high this early on. I expected a high wind threat today, but not this early on. This is something that we have seen, a significant high wind threat, not only in Illinois, but also up in Wisconsin this evening. So this is something that's going to continue. Absolutely. The wind threat will continue as we head into Michigan. The hail threat, I am less confident about. So just like Stocked Rocket out of X, put your weather questions in the comments section and we will get to those. We're on Facebook, YouTube, X, and LinkedIn. So we are live streaming many places. I can see that there's lots of people on X right now, a few people on Facebook, and a few people on YouTube. All right, let's go down to the south, or at least south of where we've got the radar right now. There we go. We'll talk about Bloomington here in just a minute, but we do have a tornado warning coming into Champaign, Illinois right now. This severe thunderstorm warning is for 1-inch size hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, impacting about 35,000 people. So it's still a very significant number of people in the severe thunderstorm warning, a little bit less in the tornado warning that goes until 8:30. Now, it does look like we have several tornado reports, so this is probably a very, so we've got a funnel cloud report. Funnel cloud reported along I-72 near mile marker 144, and it looks like we may have another one as well. Funnel cloud report in this area as well in Orena, Macon County at 7:42. So that was about 20 minutes ago. That is probably why they warned this storm right here. This is moving into the southern side of Champaign, Illinois, near Tolano. I hope I'm saying that correctly. And you can see this storm. It's okay. The radar view is okay. It's not great. We're just using a radar that's so far away from the storm, you can't see it very clearly. But I want to talk about what happened earlier this evening. Let's see if this radar will back all the way up. There you go. Okay, so these storms that came into Bloomington, we got a ton of hail reports out of this. In Bloomington, we got a golf ball size hail report. That's in Normal City. 2-incher, all righty. That is the largest hailstone report that I've seen so far in Illinois. This was photo provided by Measuring the Hail. It's always nice whenever you can have a ruler next to your hail photos. That really helps to give a really good idea of what size the hail is instead of just that estimation. 2-inch size hail as well at 7:06, so that was about an hour ago in Bloomington, Illinois. Checking some of these others, and I know it's hard for you guys to see this. I'm on my computer over here. Okay, 1-inch size hail, quarter size hail here, dime size hail. So it does look like the largest hailstones fell in Normal, Illinois. 7:08, so about an hour ago. Alrighty, let's go back up to Chicago. Where is everyone watching from this evening? Are you guys mainly Chicago? Let's see, we have a significant severe thunderstorm warning moving into the southern side of Chicago. Hang on. Yes, the southern side of Chicago right now. So this will be closer to Thornton, near I-57, Illinois, Worth, Orland, all in this. Let's get some information on this severe thunderstorm warning. Here we go. So this is warned for high wind. What did we just talk about with that wind threat? Where the hail size could go down, that wind threat goes up. And that is exactly what we're seeing in this area. Orland, Worth, Frankfort. Small hail, smaller than the size of a quarter, but 80-mile-per-hour wind speed is definitely going to make that hail more impactful. Let me tell you, we saw a very impactful windstorm out in Pennsylvania a few weeks ago. And what happened was we had a very significant severe thunderstorm warning, just like this one here. 70, 80-mile-per-hour wind speeds were expected in Pennsylvania, and it knocked over all kinds of trees and knocked down the power lines, and they were without power for a significant amount of time. Now, we do have a brand new local storm report here, so let's get to that local storm report. A $50 size hail. So even though this severe thunderstorm warning is warned for less than the size of quarters, less than 1-inch size hail, we are getting reports of larger hail up to the size of a $50. So we've got high wind up to 80 miles an hour and $50 size hail here. Now, if this hail is wind-driven, that is an absolutely impactful storm here. So again, this is south of Chicago. Here's Calumet, and here's Worth, and then that storm is right in the center of these cities right now, Worth and Orland right now. Getting you some more information on this storm, I want the track of this storm. It's moving fast. It's moving to the northeast at 65 miles an hour. If you watched our live stream earlier, we were telling you that most of these storms were moving about 40 to 55 miles an hour. Now these storms have picked up speed, which often happens after the sun sets. That low-level jet kicks in, and it will almost think about like a ship with a large sail on it, and then you've got that strong wind coming in, and it propels that ship forward, right? Think about the low-level jet in a very similar way. Whenever that picks up, especially in the evening hours, you'll see these storms propelled forward, which oftentimes, if they move too quickly, will also decrease the hail size and increase the wind threat. So that's exactly what we're seeing right here. What are other questions here? The last question that I see on here is Michigan in for the same thing? And yes, that wind threat is increasing as we head into the evening hours. So we've seen that increase not only from a 70-mile-per-hour wind threat to now 80-mile-per-hour wind threat. And I think Illinois is our only state with severe storms right now. Is that correct? I think it is. We got a few hail reports out in Virginia and in North Carolina earlier. And we even got a tornado report in this area as well. But for the most part, actually, yeah, that's it. That is our severe threat is in Illinois right now. And we do have a new update on this severe thunderstorm warning that is significant, 70-mile-per-hour wind speeds and 2-inch size hail. So we still have some very significant hail on this southern storm that's moving into Kankakee. I want to say Kankakee, but that's not correct. This storm will be moving across the Illinois-Indiana state line in the next 35 minutes here. So we've got a little bit more on this storm, and then we've got 80-mile-per-hour wind farther up to the north, just to the south of Chicago. Now, I can get you more information on these storms that are in Chicago right now. We have a severe thunderstorm warning still ongoing in Chicago right now for 1-inch size hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So, of course, the strongest storms are just to the south of the city, okay? But still impacting a ton of people here. This severe thunderstorm warning right now that's moving into Calumet, that's moving out of Worth and into Calumet, is impacting 1 million people with 80-mile-per-hour wind speeds. $50 size hail. I know it says 3/4 of an inch. However, we were getting reports of $50 size hail back in Orland. So I think that that's possible still with this storm right here. Moving very fast, moving quickly to the east. All right, we can still see your questions on the side of the screen. I can see that We had one question about Michigan earlier. What are our other questions? Where are you guys watching from this evening? We can tailor this forecast to exactly where you guys are watching from. So let me know where it is you're tuning in from today. In the meantime, we actually have a picture that was sent to us from one of our Hail Trace employees, but anyone can send us pictures. Send us your storm reports and your storm pictures. He's out in Chicago right now, and he is watching these storms come in as we speak. He is there for the Beyonce concert. Anyone else try to go to the Beyonce concert in Chicago tonight? And it was delayed because of these storms that are moving through right now. Now, it was delayed until 9 o'clock. So I hope that people are not out on the roads attempting to get into the arena right now, because it's obviously pouring out there right now. You can see a little bit of hail and some high wind with these storms as well. So let me pull up that picture out of Chicago. Talia says, watching from the north side of Chicago right now, and she says it is raining so hard right now. Yeah, I think that this would be a very hard time to enter a concert venue because it is raining just so hard, and I bet there's a little bit of hail mixed into that rain as well. Let me pull up this picture out of Chicago. And Talia, if you have any pictures as well, feel free to send those in. Of course, do not send anything that puts you in a dangerous position. Make sure that you are safe taking those pictures. Alrighty, let's do this. Okay, so this is the view outside of Chicago, in downtown Chicago. Actually, you can see that the storm clouds are rolling in. You can kind of see some of those bigger clouds off in the distance, and then you can see the sun shining through behind those clouds. So this was taken about an hour ago before these storms officially got into Chicago, but it looked really eerie out there. It was like you knew that the storms were coming before they even hit because you could see those eerie clouds. So we appreciate you guys sending in your pictures. We appreciate any of those reports that we get as well. Earlier, we also got a tornado report, tornado video. Do you guys want to see this one? This was out of Baldwin, Wisconsin. So give me just a minute and I can share this as well. This is what happens sometimes whenever I produce by myself. It takes a minute to pull things up. And multitasking, is anyone else like this, where multitasking is not your first or your best skill? So this is out of Baldwin, Wisconsin. You can see the tornado off in the distance there. Just a gorgeous view that looks almost accidental. Yeah, a great view there of this tornado. We had several tornadoes reported in this area, as well as large hail. Speaking of large hail, Eau Claire, Wisconsin, officially a 4, potentially being upgraded to a 5-star hailstorm, the highest that you can go, 5-star hailstorm for Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Right now, we have officially put it on Facebook as a 4. However, our lead mapping meteorologist is looking at those photos, and he has confirmed it right now live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. 5-star hailstorm for Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Thank you, Steve. We appreciate that. Tornadoes, hail, we have seen it all this evening. And we were talking earlier, one of the reasons that he did that was because of the extremely large hail reports that we got out in Eau Claire. We got a 4-inch size hail report. 4-inch size hail report, again, larger than the size of a softball. 4-inch size hail report is very, very impressive. But the video that you're watching right now, this is out of Baldwin, Wisconsin. So we appreciate all of the storm reports that we've gotten this evening. Don't feel free and don't be afraid to send in your videos and your hail pictures to us. Hail, wind, tornado, all of those weather pictures we appreciate. Alrighty, we'll go back to the radar now. There we go. What are other questions this evening? We got reports earlier that it was raining very hard in Chicago right now. So that's the radar that you see up there right now on the screen. So you can see that the rain is coming through. We have a severe thunderstorm warning for 60-mile-per-hour wind speeds and quarter-size hail. However, if you go farther down to the south, then you do have those stronger storms. So we're talking 70, 80-mile-per-hour wind speeds and 2-inch size hail. One interesting thing about these significant severe thunderstorm warnings, which has now been extended into Indiana, now past the Illinois-Indiana state line. 1-inch size hail, 70-mile-per-hour wind speeds. We've got almost 1 million people impacted by this severe thunderstorm warning right here. So the south of I-90 and into Cedar Creek, Money, I hope I'm saying that correctly, and then along Highway 57. The severe thunderstorm warning will continue until 9:15, so we have another hour left on this warning right here. Another hour with these strong wind speeds up to 70 miles an hour. Again, that includes Calumet, Gary, Hammond, and North cities until 9:15. We saw earlier that this severe thunderstorm warning is moving, or this severe thunderstorm, we saw earlier that this severe thunderstorm is moving very fast at about 60 miles an hour. So you can even see as the radar updates how fast this storm is moving, or this cluster of storms really is probably the appropriate way to refer to this area. One update here with these storms that are farther down to the south. Earlier they were warned for 2-inch size hail. That hail size has now gone down to 1-inch size hail. So that goes until 8:45 as well. So we've got another 30 minutes left on this severe thunderstorm warning. One thing that I can tell you, and I'll show you a graphic as well. When we get severe thunderstorm warnings that are 70, 80 mile per hour warnings, oftentimes you can get that WIA on your phone. It's that loud sound that is the same sound as an Amber Alert. You know, that very loud sound and everyone's phone goes off all at the same time. You can get that whenever you have high wind up to 80 miles an hour. So I'm sure a lot of people across Illinois got that alert earlier. So I'll explain this to you here. A normal severe thunderstorm warning is 58 miles an hour or quarter-size hail. Considerable, which is what we're watching for, this is what we have right now in Illinois, just to the south of Chicago, 70 mile per hour wind speeds or golf ball size hail. Now we're focused on the wind right now in Illinois. So it's 70 mile per hour wind speeds. However, whenever we get up to that 80 mile per hour point, that's whenever it triggers the WIA. And that is for 80 mile per hour wind speeds or baseball size hail. But in this case, we are watching for those high winds. So you may have heard that on your phone, that loud beeping noise. It goes off like an alarm, and it's the same noise that your phone will make for an Amber Alert. So that's very important, because basically what the National Weather Service has said is that 80 mile per hour wind speeds is destructive enough that everyone needs to be alerted by it to not be outside in that. And baseball size hail, same thing. It can often trigger that WIA alert, or that WIA on your phone. Let's see, what other questions do we have? I'll go back to the radar here. Chicago, still included in a severe thunderstorm warning. And I will get some updates on exactly what we're watching for here from the National Weather Service here in just a minute. And then, you know what? We had people asking about Michigan earlier. Let's go through reflectivity of Michigan real quick. Why not? Whenever you guys comment on the live, I can give you like real-time updates whenever you guys comment for the exact location that you're at. So where are you guys commenting from? Where are you guys watching from? We can give you your storm updates from that area. So let's take a look at it. We had someone say that they were watching from Michigan. So let's take a look at your future radar. Here we are. What time is it now? 8:20. So we are expecting those storms to go through Chicago by about 8:30. This radar model did it pretty good. Basically nailed it. Crossing into Illinois, from Illinois, crossing into Indiana by about 8:30. So you give it 10 minutes. I think that this radar model nailed that. What we're watching for here is this strong wind threat to continue anywhere from northern Indiana all the way up into the central portion of Michigan. And actually, if I zoom this radar view out, here we go. What you will see is this entire line of storms, a clustered line of storms here, extends all the way even into the northern portion of Michigan. Now, anytime that we start to see kind of this backwards C-shaped here, this crescent-like shaped, what this means is that these storms are not only going to be moving very fast, but also with a high wind speed. So I'm expecting that high wind speed to continue in this area as we continue throughout the rest of the evening. I guess we're kind of going into the late night hours right now. High wind threat will continue. Let's continue this radar view. Going into Detroit, going into Fort Wayne, Indiana, as we head into the overnight hours. Midnight, it's going to be loud. You're going to see that lightning, hear that thunder, and probably hear those high winds blowing outside of your window as well by midnight tonight, maybe slightly before that. Early Friday morning, finally, these storms are out of Michigan, moving into Toledo and Cleveland by the early morning hours on Friday. You know, while we are here, why don't we just go through a Friday forecast? I know that Friday is a really big day. We were upgraded to that moderate storm risk from the Storm Prediction Center earlier today. Now, I do have to tell you that my graphics are not completely updated here. However, I can go through a few of them and show you everything that I can. And they're not updated because we've been live with watching the radar, right? So we just haven't had time to update them. But we'll talk about it. We'll talk about forecast models here. Okay, significant hail model for tomorrow. We're going to see those storms into the afternoon and evening hours. What we watch for here for significant hail is those reds and oranges. So orange, maybe golf ball size hail, maybe 2-inch size hail. You get into those reds, you're talking tennis balls, baseballs at this point, okay? So we've got that in the Kentucky area for tomorrow. We've even got that in the southern portion of Missouri and northern portion of Arkansas. And then even out into Virginia, we've also got some large hail. So a lot of people could be impacted by that large hail for tomorrow. Now, this is today's forecast. Let me move forward and move ahead to tomorrow's forecast. Give my graphics just a minute to update. Graphics really cause you to have a lot of patience because sometimes the graphics system moves a little bit slower than you do. However, here we are this evening. I told you that those storms are moving through the central portion of Michigan by about 11 o'clock tonight. They're moving fast. They're cranking out some wind. This will continue as we head into the overnight hours into places like Detroit, Toledo, the far eastern side of Michigan as we head into early Friday morning. Now, one thing that models have been pretty consistent about through the overnight hours is putting some storms right along the Kentucky state line. So anywhere from Kentucky to Illinois to Indiana, the state line right here, they want to pop up some storms in this area. So we are going to continue to see this severe threat through the overnight hours tonight. However, that's not the big story for Friday. The big story for Friday are going to be those storms in the afternoon hours. Check this out. You're going to see redeveloping storms as we head into the afternoon hours on Friday. These storms will continue to be a little bit more widespread. They're going to continue to cover more area as we head into the evening hours on Friday and even into the late night hours. Now, you see the timeline there. What about those hazards? Those hazards are pretty impressive here. So what we're watching for here, and let me make sure that this is the correct. map for you. Okay, so what we're watching for here is a level 4 storm risk, a moderate risk from the Storm Prediction Center. Now this is your hail risk. So we've got a really good chance for hail south of St. Louis included, and then south of there, southeastern Missouri into the northern portion of Arkansas, western Tennessee and Kentucky, and the southern side of Illinois and Indiana, an area that has already been hit this year. I think it was, I was having this conversation just a few hours ago. Was it May 2nd? Yes, April 2nd. April 2nd. This area had a high risk, but it looked very, very similar. The risks look very, very similar. April 2nd to now May 16th. So it almost feels like a rinse and repeat here. However, you have to take every single risk very seriously, just like it's the first time that you've seen it. So let's take a look at that hail forecast for tomorrow. I have the largest hail sizes down in the southern portion of Illinois, western Tennessee, western Kentucky, into the northern portion of Arkansas and Missouri. Memphis, Nashville, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, St. Louis, and Little Rock, all included in this risk for large hail. How large are we talking here? About baseball, if not even larger. I can say baseball size hail, and that may be one of the max hail sizes that you see. However, very similar to what we saw today, we got a 4-incher today. The weather can surprise us. They can crank out something larger than a softball. Now, this is a very important forecast to see. The tornado forecast for tomorrow is very, very promising between Indianapolis into Nashville and into the southeastern side of Missouri. Okay, so this entire area, southern Illinois, southern Indiana, western Kentucky, all included in that significant tornado risk for tomorrow. What these hatched lines mean right here, and if you've watched my noon forecast, we talk about this all the time, but people always have questions about it, so I'll say it again. These hatched lines, these dashed black lines right here, that is what we call a hatched risk. What that means is that we are expecting not only mini tornadoes in this area, however, they are potentially strong to, they're potentially strong to violent tornadoes. So what that means is EF2 and even stronger in this area. Now, it's not always right 100% of the time. However, we have the right ingredients in the atmosphere to see strong to violent tornadoes between Indianapolis down to Nashville into the eastern side of Missouri. So just a little recap. There's your risk for tomorrow. Let's take a look at your risk for Saturday. Saturday, we've got storms across the East Coast all the way up into our New England states, and then even some large hail from Oklahoma City out to the east and the southeastern side of the state, and Dallas, DFW, included in that large hail risk on Saturday. Let's talk about Sunday here. Sunday, central to western portions of Kansas and Oklahoma in that severe weather risk. Monday, we shift to the east side of the state. Now we include Kansas City in that risk. And Kansas City once again included for Tuesday. That goes all the way out into St. Louis and into the northern portion of Arkansas on Tuesday. Yeah, it's a lot of weather, just day after day after day. Our meteorologists will be watching it. We'll be doing live streams just like this, so hit the follow button. All of this severe weather is brought to you by a low pressure system inside of this trough. Do you see that? This is your future upper jet stream. So what a jet stream is it's strong winds way above our heads. And whenever we see this trough form in the jet stream, we often know that severe weather will be on the upslope side of this trough. So right here, where we've got all of those bright colors. St. Louis, Chicago, where do we have storms tomorrow? St. Louis, western Kentucky. It's very, very accurate. Whenever we have a trough coming through the Midwest, the plains, the southeast will most likely get severe weather, especially this time of the year. So that's why we have severe weather for today and tomorrow, but we have another trough coming our way, propagating off the west coast and moving into the plains by Sunday and Monday, and that's why we have another risk for storms across Oklahoma and Kansas into the early portion of next week. But if we look even farther than that, we're looking to have a break later next week. We start to get some high pressure to build in here. We start to see a ridge forming. Do you see that ridge from Denver to St. Louis? And so we get a break from severe weather for now. However, it's still May, and you can kind of see what's coming. We've got another trough with a low pressure system on the west coast. So if that could move into the central portion of the U.S., your Memorial Day weekend could be very, very active. So we're looking way out into the future here. Still something to keep in mind. And 24-hour temperature change, we're cooling down a little bit over the last 24 hours. Yesterday it was so hot here in Oklahoma. However, it is a lot cooler now. Chicago, you felt the heat yesterday as well. And we'll go back to the radar at this time. So I kind of went through our noon forecast. That's what we do during our forecast every single weekday at noon. However, I will go back to the radar and see if we've missed anything over the last few minutes while we were talking about Friday. Joseph asks, what areas of Illinois have gotten confirmed hail? Great question. Let's talk about it. So far, and I can only go back the last hour. Actually, I may be able to show this in a better way. Joseph, just a minute. So I'm going to show you your 24-hour storm reports here. There we go. Okay, that's exactly what I wanted. Let's go down into Illinois. Look how busy Wisconsin was tonight. I mean, it was like tornado reports, high wind reports, hail reports, just massive hail. I told you about those 4 inchers. Go down to Illinois. So to answer your question, confirmed hail anywhere that you see those hail markers right here. So we can go through, I think, and see exactly how large each hailstone that was reported was. However, I can just give you a general overview here. Or it may not let me. Well, my computer may be fighting against me here. Either way, here I can show you where you got hail. Today, we saw hail reports anywhere from south of Davenport all the way up the highway here. We really started off the evening with some I think it's $half size hail up in Rockford. And then we started to pivot down to the south. So Peoria got some hail this evening as well. That was around 6:30 this evening. Storms just hugged the highway here. What is this? Highway 55? Highway 55. Tons of hail reports, anywhere from Springfield to Lincoln. Now, some of the largest hail reports that we've seen out of Bloomington, I think we saw some 2 inchers in there. So 2 inchers in Bloomington, that has been confirmed as well. And then after that, our attention turned up to the north where, here we go. We saw $half size hail in Chicago, so not terribly impressive in the northern and western portions of Chicago. However, we saw that 2 inch size hail a little bit farther down to the south. In the, right here. Like the Moni area, I hope I'm saying that correctly. We saw 2 inch size hail in this area as well with some high wind. So a lot of different areas across Illinois had confirmed hail this evening. And now all of those storms are just hugging the east side of the state, moving into Indiana right now. Officially, storms are out of Chicago, I think. Let's double check that. Yes, officially storms are out of Chicago, now moving across the Illinois and Indiana state line into Indiana. We're talking about the Valpo area, Cedar Creek. Even these storms farther down to the south really are not very impressive. And even that severe thunderstorm warning or tornado warning that was headed into Champaign seemed to dissipate as well, just deflated as it moved into Champaign. So the southern side of Champaign, not even warned at all. You're just going to get some heavy rain in this area. Let's see, what other hail reports do we have to give you? Bloomington, we already talked about this, 2-inch size hail in Bloomington. And that's confirmed not only with a photo, but also a ruler. I love whenever people put rulers next to their hail photos because it really does help to give us the exact size. Alrighty, what other questions do we have this evening? Lots of people jumping on here. We had earlier, if you guys were not on the live stream earlier, we shared a tornado video earlier. We can share that again. This is in Baldwin, Wisconsin. Colton Smith asking here, do we go off of meteorologist or algorithm for best size? I always say, there's give and take in both, right? You reduce a lot of that human error with algorithm hail sizes, but meteorologists can always see something that the algorithm can't, especially on nights like tonight, whenever our meteorologists have been scouring the internet for hail photos and videos, and then they match to the street level, to the intersection. They match that hail photo in that size of hail to what they have said. So if they've said 2 inches, but that hail photo is 2.5 inches, they'll go back to the radar. They'll say, why is there a difference here? Okay, let's figure that out. Let's learn from this. Let's update the map. Algorithms can't do that. So I always say that the meteorologist maps are the best. But there's give and take. I know that people like one over the other. There's bias in both, of course, but I think that the meteorologist maps are always the best. Our meteorologists work so hard and they're very, very smart. I think that their maps are the best. We have our lead mapping meteorologist, Steve, on these storms right now. So that's how you know it's good, because we've got the lead meteorologist on it. But great question, Colton. You must be a Hail Trace subscriber. Again, this video is out of Baldwin, Wisconsin, from earlier tonight. I think they had several reported tornadoes in this area, and then they also had 4-inch size hail just after this tornado hit, and that was in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Great photo or great video here. As always, send us your tornado, hail pictures, videos. We will always use those. We appreciate those as well. Again, that makes our maps more accurate, and we appreciate you guys sending those in. So let's go back to the radar here. Do we have any other questions on this Thursday evening? I would ask if there's any Thunder fans out there, but I know a lot of people are watching from Chicago, Illinois, Wisconsin areas, so I won't start that train. That's the big thing here in Oklahoma tonight. So we are based out of Oklahoma, but that is the big thing that's going on tonight. The Thunder is playing right now in Denver against the Nuggets. I have no idea what the score is, so if someone wants to update me on the score in the comments section, I'd love that. Okay, let's go back to the radar. Let's go back to work here. These storms are officially in Indiana. We have the last part of the western side of this storm in Illinois. Other than that, these storms are moving into Indiana. Still warned for some high wind here. I don't think that the hail risk is too impressive. However, the wind risk is 70-mile-per-hour wind speeds for still almost 1 million people, and 1-inch size hail from Bloom to Rich to Thornton, including Valpo in this as well. So these storms will be tracking to the east pretty quickly. They have covered some ground very, very quickly, moving to the east at 50 miles an hour. And actually, while the official warning here says 70-mile-per-hour wind speeds, this warning says 70. The National Weather Service is giving us a little bit more information here, and they're saying 70 to 80 mile per hour gusts are possible with these storms. So they're not officially warning for 80. However, they're saying in their description for this warning that 80 mile per hour wind speeds are possible. So that may trigger that WIA on your phone, that really loud beeping noise. That may be going off in the northwestern side of Indiana right now. Any other questions this evening? We've got a lot of people joining in right now from X. We've got tons of people on Twitter right now. I have learned I can see your comments from X. I thought it was only Facebook and YouTube, so you guys can comment on Twitter as well. We've got a few people on YouTube right now and a few people on Facebook as well, so I can see your comments, I can see your questions. In addition to telling us where you're watching from, hit that follow button. We post radar pictures, we post storm pictures. We've got several storm chasers here at Hail Trace that will be following these storms over the next few days. We have a very active week ahead of us. Let's go back to the forecast and talk about that active week, because holy moly, is the next few days, the next 5 days, very, very busy. Take a look at the forecast. So for today, your Storm Prediction Center outlook showed Chicago all the way down to Memphis for storms. And we're still going to see storms down in Kentucky and Tennessee in the early morning hours by Friday morning. On Friday, we have a very significant severe outbreak risk. What we're watching for here is a level 4, a moderate risk that includes St. Louis, Cincinnati, and Memphis. They're highlighted in red, or just to the north of Memphis, highlighted there in red. We will have a noon forecast tomorrow to give you an updated outlook closer to this event. However, what we can say now is that we're expecting some large hail from the central and southern portions of Illinois and Indiana into Ohio. Any areas that are dashed here with those black marks, that indicates large hail. This even includes portions of Texas, so we're talking Texarkana into Arkansas. By Saturday, we have another chance for strong to severe storms, once again including Dallas into Texarkana, most of Arkansas, and the southeastern side of Oklahoma. Then we also have another risk for, I wouldn't say large hail, but $half size, maybe up to ping pong ball size hail along the East Coast. Sunday, storms on the west side of Oklahoma, west side of Kansas, central Oklahoma, and eastern portion of Oklahoma and Kansas, now including Kansas City on Tuesday. And then, on Monday, so let's go back here. That east side of the state risk, that'll be on Monday, and now we'll go to Tuesday. By Tuesday, Kansas City to St. Louis and into Little Rock, all included in that severe risk. So storms not only possible today, but also tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day and the next day. Got a very, very busy next 5 days ahead of us. Alrighty, what other questions do we have? Any other questions? If not, I'm going to hop off of here. We only have one severe thunderstorm warning right now, and that is in the northern side of Illinois. I take that back. We have a brand new severe thunderstorm warning for Michigan. And what did I say about Michigan earlier? Wind, high wind. 70-mile-per-hour wind speeds with this severe thunderstorm warning, so a significant severe thunderstorm warning here. Something that is interesting about this, I said that hail risk was probably going to be pretty low up in Michigan, and we have a pretty significant hail risk. Golf ball size hail for the western side of Michigan right now, including about 150,000 people in this severe thunderstorm warning. This goes until 10 o'clock, so we've got another hour and 15 minutes on this. We've got quite some time with this severe thunderstorm warning. This is included also in a tornado watch that goes until 2 a.m. So this watch will probably be expired on the west side of the state before 2 o'clock, but what they're really warning for here will be the east side of the state, where the east side of the state will probably go until about 2, maybe 3 a.m. with that tornado potential. So definitely something to keep an eye on this evening. Make sure that you have severe weather alerts not only on your phone, but there needs to be a way that you can wake up, that those alerts can wake you up. If these storms come through the overnight hours, have a way that your weather alerts can wake you up. That'll be very, very important with these nocturnal storms. All right, any other questions here? I don't see any other questions right now, so I'm going to hop off of here. Don't forget to join us tomorrow at noon for your forecast, for your Friday forecast. We'll be back right here tomorrow at noon. We'll be working on the forecast beforehand, so you will have the most up-to-date data before those storms come in. Thanks for joining us on our Thursday radar update. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox. We will see you guys tomorrow.